Welcome to another episode of the Distorted Dialogue podcast. In this episode, we're going to count down the top 10 songs from 2025 and a few honorable mentions. And with 10.5 million songs being released across music all of last year, I'm bound to have missed a few. So let me know what you liked, what your favorite songs were from 2025. I'm always looking to check out some new music. And if you happen to find something on this list that you really love, let me know about that too, so I can put more of the things you like on the channel. Also, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button so that way you don't miss any of the heaps of heavy and are getting the latest riffs right to your ears. Here's your top 10 metal songs from 2025. This is a 2025 release that showed up fashionably late to the party, but once it did arrive, it made its presence known. Holding down the number 10 spot, we have the doom psych rockers and the band Temptress and their latest single, These Walls, off of Blues Funeral Recordings. Now this was a late release in 2025, coming I think in November. If this had been released earlier in this year, I would have been able to get some more listens in, and therefore it would have been higher on my list. But don't think I forget about it because it's a new year. I'm rocking These Walls and the brand new single that just dropped called The Edge. So I suggest you check both of those out. And at the number 9 spot, we got the Thrashers coming out of Illinois in Misfire. We have the song We Went Through Hell off of the Product of the Environment album. I'm not sure what type of environment these dudes are hanging out in to be a product of, but the environment sounds crunchy, chaotic, and heavy as hell. Here's to hoping that these Midwest Thrashers find some zen in 2026. They feel a little bit angry on this album and, bring it down a little bit. Find some peace. Namaste, motherfucker. And no wonder they went through hell. You went on tour with Violence, Death Angel, and Lions at the Gate. What were you thinking, a rose garden? So that just tells you what caliber Misfire is firing. Sounds more like nukes than rifles. At the number 8 spot, we have the song A World Unmade by the Midwest Thrashers in Bloodletter. Now, World Unmade has the advantage of being the number 1 song on their latest release, Leave the Light Behind. And when I listen to Leave the Light Behind, I listen to the entire album. I don't just pick one track on this one. The album's too good. It just flows into each other. So it seems kind of selfish for me just to pick a song. I listen to the full album. Obviously, the first track is going to get the most plays. So here we are. Although you could have thrown a dart and hit any one on the record, and it probably would have made this list. It just so happened that was the first song. At the number 7 spot, we got Ready for Death's The Utopia of War off of Pay With Your Face. What could sound more metal than a Utopia of War or Paying With Your Face? Kicking off with a huge grooving bass line right before mid-tempo crushing thrash kicks in and you feel like the war is about to begin. While this song had great music soundtracking it, my favorite part were the lyrics, which tell the story of how wonderful the American government treats its military members. And I'm not sure if these dudes served or they're currently serving or maybe they're veterans. They definitely capture the feeling and sometimes despair of actually being in the military. All soundtracked by mid-tempo grooves, but when the galloping kicks in, I feel like I'm being trampled by the cavalry, and all I can say is, thank you, sir, can I have another? Check these dudes out on Translation Lost Records. There was no translation lost here, though. Coming in at the number 6 spot was the biggest surprise on this list for me personally in 2025. This industrial feeling electronic influence song titled Sun Devil Moon Witch by the band The Death of Zenith is an industrial electronic infused song with huge grooves and tons of catchiness. And while I was by The Death of Zenith, I never felt more alive. For fans of bands like Nine Inch Nails, Prodigy, and even the Chemical Brothers, or any other artist with that great electronic metal sound, I'm thinking a lot of you guys probably missed this one, so head over to So Lunar Records and check out Sun Devil Moon Witch by The Death of Zenith. You're welcome. Here we are at the halfway point. Number 5, we got New Gods, New Managers by the band Graveripper off of their album From Welcome to Tundra. This was another late release in 2025, being released October, about a week before my birthday, and thanks to Corey from Graveripper and Sean from Wiseblood, the best gift I've got since last year's birthday gift, which came from Enforced's In a Leap Into the Dark. And Graveripper's along the same lines as Enforced. So let's keep this birthday going by spinning Graveripper. If this album was released prior to October this year, I guarantee you this song would have been my #1 song. This is another album on my album of the year list, but I can't tell you where it is. I don't want to spoil it. But to be honest with you, their entire catalog kicks ass. So go check these dudes out. And again, let me know what you think. Canada is one big ass country. I'm not sure why this band isn't bigger than they are, because they're great. At #4, you have the Red Raven Chaos and their song Fight. It's off of last year's album titled Signs. And I'll put this as groove metal, but this could easily be considered mellow death, metalcore, or a combination of the three. Huge grooves, great melody, and this band is tight. The drums were mic'd perfectly, the production is killer, and the vocals are soulful and sincere, and really push this song over the top for me. Here's my #3 with the Destroyers of All and their song Ritual. Ritual was the first song on the album In Darkness We Remain. After a brief intro or interlude, this song kicks off. This whole album just rips, and so does the remainder of their catalog, as I've been a fan before this album came out, just waiting for more music from these guys. Portuguese blackened thrash with anthemic feels that are for fans of bands like Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, pretty much your popular thrash bands. I've been following these dudes for the last couple years, and I'm glad I caught this one. Ritual has a unique sound to it, which is why it's so high on the list. It's different than typical thrash, but you'll see. If you like thrash or even death metal, go get your ears burnt to a crisp at the Ritual of Fire by Destroyers of All. At the #2 spot, we have one of the most difficult songs for me to place on a list in the Friendship Commanders release, Melt, off of their latest release, Bear. When I first saw this song, I knew I wouldn't like it. It definitely doesn't look metal, and it actually looks kind of nice and respectable, and usually people like me don't like nice, respectable things. I love thrash metal and punk. There's nothing respectable about those. Surely some scumbag like me isn't gonna like this, right? Wrong! Obviously I like that. If I didn't like it, it wouldn't be my #2 song. It's so good, my kids even like it. Don't get me wrong, this is a great song on a great album. And before we get to the #1 song of 2025, I'd like to give you a little honorable mentions. These were tracks that were really close to missing the cut, but just didn't for some strange reason, which I'll explain. The first honorable mention is Scorched by Sorcery by the Texas mellow death band Sparrows. This is another one that might have made the list if they didn't have a killer release from, I think, 2020 titled Ghost Ships of the Abyss, which was my #1 stream song for the entire year. So I would like to ask the band Sparrows, could you guys please do a proper full length so I can pick up the vinyl? Thanks, I appreciate it. Next entry on the honorable mention list is the European band Silius and their song Colombian Necktie. Or maybe it was their guitarist Howie's other project, Whitechapel by the band Grieve. And I wasn't even going to put this on the list because it's starting to seem like Howie's trying to game the system. He must know that I only pick one song from each band. So Howie, he's in like 32 metal bands, each one putting out killer thrash. Whether it's Silius, Grieve, Insanity Alert, which is actually insane because it's this much killer thrash. If you didn't have to refinance your house in order to afford shipping, I'd probably have stacks of all of his vinyl. So if you want to decide which one's better, whether it's Colombian Necktie from Silius, all about slitting your throat, or it's about a serial killer in Whitechapel from the band Grief. Both are excellent releases. I, however, prefer Silius's Colombian Necktie. This is straight up face-melting thrash. Go check it out. What's definitely the most complex song on this list, we have West Virginia's Byzantine and their beautiful release, Floating Chrysanthemum. How can you have this much music jammed into it and it still sound like perfection? A note is wasted and it feels like each note is placed fragilely and delicately into this song. And truthfully, I almost felt cultured listening to such a complex piece. This is like the Mozart or the Beethoven of metal. It's really great writing and almost better execution. So go check it out off of last year's album Harbingers by West Virginia's Byzantine. This was an early release last year, I believe dropping in January, and I've been playing it since. This was another album you could have thrown a dart at and probably picked a song off of it. But I'm going to choose Neurological Nightmare by Mutagenic Host off of their album The Diseased Machine. And that whole album was killer. It's a diseased machine. It's designed to kill. With a whole album talking about artificial intelligence and machines rising to power and eliminating humanity and causing sickness, grief, and suffering. Kind of sounds like they're welcome in 26, I guess. So the lyrical content was almost as real and scary as real life. And here's the last of the honorable mentions before we get to the number one song. The melodic death metal supergroup Adawanton and their song Cerulean Dream off of their Apocryphal Verse EP. Now, Adawanton is a supergroup, so that's kind of not fair. It's made up of members from Panopticon, Horrendous, Majesties, Crypt Sermon, Vax, a lot. And their 4-song EP, Apocryphal Verse, was my favorite EP of the year. This was another late release, might have been higher on the list, I don't know. But you guys need to go check out Apocryphal Verse by Adawanton. And being that the other 3 songs were so strong, I might have just listened to Cerulean Dream on repeat. It was that good. But the whole EP flows so much better. If you're familiar with any of the prior bands that make up this supergroup, you'll just know how talented these musicians truly are. And finally, the number one song of 2025. I can almost guarantee it's not on your Song of the Year list. Congratulations to Iowa's Infernal Instinct and their song Transcending Madness. This wasn't just my number one song released in 2025. This was my number 2 song streamed all year. Being almost like 2 songs in one, this had it all for me. Transcending Madness had guitar tone for days, a low end of chaos, and one of the finest frontmen in metal. I promise you that. About halfway through, when it explodes into like a deluge of riffs and a wall of sound is released, I simply can't get the volume loud enough. Again, thanks for watching. Let me know your favorites of 2025. And again, subscribe and like so that way you don't miss the heaps of heavy being shoveled in 2026. See you in the pit.